Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon. I'm back here today, and now everybody and their mother has been talking about top 10 characters, top mobile gamer, Valley Flying. Everybody wants to list off their top 10 characters, and I was like, well, I want to list off my top 10 characters too. So today, I'm going to be reading the top 10 characters in Marvel Strike Force, and now these are in order from like least important in my opinion to most important, but there are definitely spots where if you made a good argument you could move them around, but I was just roughly thinking the order of these, and this is my I feel good about this placement. But again, if you wanted to, you could probably say like 2 and 3 could switch spots, or 5 and 6 could switch spots. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, number 10, I have Mercenary Lieutenant. Now, I might be like, Pop, you hate minions. Why are you putting Mercenary Lieutenant there? Mercenary Lieutenant, why are you Mercenary? He's just a dude. Well, what's really interesting about Mercenary Lieutenant is he's kind of like a Black Widow Jr., which you may be seeing somewhere else. You might be seeing Black Widow in this list and a couple, maybe some other places. But what's interesting about him is he actually applies offense up and speed up to allies. So Black Widow, she'll only apply speed up. He does both of them. Now, of course, Black Widow's skill does give speed up for 2 turns, so there's a little bit of pros and cons to both of their skills, but Mercenary Lieutenant is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And what's nice about him is you can just kind of throw him into whatever team you want because of the team buff that he applies. It's even more general than Black Widow's, because Black Widow's only has a chance to apply on allies that are not Shield/Avengers, and it's only guaranteed on Shield/Avenger allies. His applies to all his allies, so it's slightly shorter, but it's more reliable, and it definitely makes Mercenary Lieutenant a great pickup for any team. Number 9 on this list is going to be Hawkeye. Now, Hawkeye, for some of you longtime subscribers, you might know, I had him pretty low on my tier list the first time around, and that was a mistake, guys. That was a mistake. He's a very solid character. He can remove buffs from people. He can apply blind, which is great because essentially that just means they waste their next turn. I believe his attacks cannot miss. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm fairly confident even if he's blinded, I don't think he misses his attacks. Plus, he has a chance to clear stealth from enemies. He can attack stealth enemies, and he does okay damage. It's not incredible, but it's solid and it's unavoidable. So all around, not a bad character to throw onto any team. Next up, we have Thanos. Now, you might be like, Thanos? Why isn't he like number 1? Thanos is Thanos. Well, he's definitely a strong character, but I guess he just doesn't have his Infinity Gauntlet in this game. Now, he definitely has a lot of really interesting stuff in his kit. He can get counter. His damage is his damage is pretty good. He's very tanky. He's all around a pretty good character. He is a little slow, but that's okay. So, of course, he gains taunt. He can apply offense down. What's really interesting is his 3rd skill, Energy Bomb. This is actually a very strong skill. It has 100% drain. So say Thanos is running low and you're clearing a mission with like 8 enemies and he does Energy Bomb, he can gain back almost his entire health bar. So he's just all around a very strong character, excellent damage, and very tanky. So up at number 7, we actually have Kingpin. And what's interesting about him is he doesn't directly taunt, unlike a lot of the other tanks. What he does is he'll summon bodyguards that taunt for him. But what's interesting about him is he can apply defense up to all allies and offense up to all allies with his 3rd skill. So all around, he's just a very strong character, very tanky, and he provides a lot for whatever team you put him on. Next up at number 6, we have Gamora. Now, Gamora's probably a little higher on some people's list, and she's definitely strong, but she's not as strong as I think some people give her credit for. She's definitely very good, very high damage. Her ultimate, Flying Slash, does a massive amount of damage. Her 2nd skill's a good amount of damage, but what's interesting about her 2nd and her 3rd skill is she'll actually gain 100% speed bar if she kills somebody when she's using the skill. So this allows Gamora to chain skills together. Plus her basic attack also does pretty good damage. She's just all around a very offensive character, but I find her to be relatively squishy. She can't take a lot of damage, and once you do your ultimate with her, and if you don't kill somebody, you're just kind of sitting there, you know, you're like, I did my ultimate, I'm done. I just don't find she provides a lot outside of her ultimate, but her damage is still really good. Next up, we have Crossbones. Now, what's interesting about him is his other skills aren't all that great, but it's his ultimate skill that's the reason why you're going to put him on your team. His third skill, Detonate, is crazy. 430% damage to all the enemies. I mean, the Crossbones is going to be a short one to talk about because you just keep him alive till he can use Detonate, then you pretty much win whatever battle you're in. So that's it for Crossbones. You just put him on the team for the Detonate. Now, of course, if the Detonate doesn't kill them, then you're in a little bit of a pickle, but more times than not, Detonate is going to finish the job for you. And number 4, we have Quake. Now, Quake's really interesting because she's utility, but she also does a good amount of damage. Her basic attack, Seismic Blast, can hit a ton of people. It has massive AoE, and it slows them. So it's just a really good skill to start out with to slow the enemy team. If you combine this with Black Widow, you'll be running laps around the enemy team. She can clear positive effects with her second skill, Shockwave, and Earthquake, her ultimate, does a massive amount of damage, and it'll apply offense down to your enemies. So if you combine this with Crossbones, you can AoE the enemy team to space. And there's one more character on this list I'm a big fan of that I put on a team with these two just so we can have 3 big AoEs coming off one by one, and that allows me to win most of my PvP battles. Next up on the list, we have Yondu. Now, why do I like Yondu? Because he can deal a lot of damage, he can dispel positive effects, he can summon allies, one of which can actually heal your team, so that's awesome, and he can do a AoE attack. AoE attacks. I love AoE attacks. AoE attacks are great, and it can attack all enemies that are not invisible, and it's unavoidable. Overall, Yondu provides a lot to whatever team he's on with his damage, his dispels, his healing. He's just an excellent character to put on whatever team you need him on. At second place, we have Captain America. Now, he's, in my opinion, is the best tank within the entire game. Now, why you may ask? It's because of second skill, Inspire. Can apply defense up to all his allies, plus he can grant ability energy to Avengers allies and to other allies, so all around he's providing a lot for his team whenever he activates his taunt. His third skill does a respectable amount of damage, plus it can clear positive effects. His basic attack skill will give him defense up, and plus with his passive, if you pair him up with Avengers, he'll be blocking most of the attacks that come his way, and this allows him to take close to no damage for most of his turns. Now, before I get to number 1, there are 3 characters I want to mention as honorary mentions, and that is Deadpool, Cable, and Night Nurse. Now, Deadpool and Cable are there for the same reasons. I think they both deal an incredible amount of damage. They're excellent characters to put on your team, plus if they're paired together, they'll be dealing even more damage. Just all around pretty good characters in my opinion. And Night Nurse. Now, Night Nurse is interesting because she's the best healer in this game. Now, why didn't you put her on this list, Paul? I just don't think her healing is all that great for PvP scenarios. Like, if you had Hawkeye on your team or Night Nurse, I think Hawkeye is a little more useful in terms of the fact that he can blind the enemies, instead of Night Nurse that can just delay the inevitable by healing your team. So she's definitely an excellent character to pick up, but I just didn't put her in my top 10 because I didn't find her value to be equivalent with some of the characters in top 10. Now, number 1, we have the Queen of Marvel Strike Force, and she has not been dethroned in my opinion, and this is Black Widow. Now, why is Black Widow up there? It's because of her second skill, Camouflage Tech. She'll gain stealth for 2 turns, clear all negative effects from herself, and she'll grant speed up to all shield and Avenger allies for 2 turns. Plus, if you're not in those 2 factions, you get a 60% chance of getting speed up. It's just a great skill. It allows your team to run laps around the enemy team. Before you know it, the enemy team's dead just because you went so sonic fast around them and you killed them instantly. She also has some other stuff in her kits that's pretty nice. She can apply stun with her third skill, which is great for those big baddies. Like Crossbones has his AoE coming up next turn. You don't want him to use it. Well, you can just stun him, and you got another turn to take down Crossbones. Her basic attack isn't bad, because if she's stealth, when she does it, she'll copy the positive effects from the enemies, and she'll give them to herself. So she's just all around is an excellent supportive character. Throw into nearly any team, and now the team's sonic fast, and you can take down almost anything that they throw against you. All in all, the best character in Marvel Strike Force in my opinion. But that being said, guys, what do I know about Marvel Strike Force? I am just a 16-year-old. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Signing off, guys.